Well, I work for the Second Bank of America. The Second Bank of the United States is located.
I have made my decision.
Objection, Your Honor. That's blasphemy.
In 1818, Maryland taxed the Second National Bank because they were operating within Maryland's borders. James McCall was a cashier at the Second Bank, and he was the person who refused to pay the tax. Maryland decided to take this issue to the courts and won. However, McCall went to appeals court to hopefully get his way. McCall ended up losing his appeals court, but the case ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court after many appeals. McCall stated the state had no power to tax a federal entity, while Maryland stated that since the bank was within their borders, they had the right to tax any business within said borders. This raised the issue of whether or not the federal government held supremacy over state government and ended up deciding that, yes, the federal government was more powerful than the state governments.
We do the power to tax any business in our border.
Whoa, hold your high horses right there. I guess I should introduce myself. My name's John Marshall, Chief Justice of this year's Supreme Court. Today we will be discussing the court case McCullough versus Maryland. This court case will set a precedent of whether the federal government or the state government has more power than each other. I guess I should introduce some of these characters. Well, first of all, we have McCullough. Well, actually, let's go back. Here, follow me. So, I believe you're representative of Maryland. What brings you here today?
Well, since the Second Bank of the United States is located in Maryland, I believe we have the authority to tax every business in that state.
So, Mr. McCullough, what brings you here today?
Well, I work for the Second Bank of America. And a few weeks ago, I was minding my own business and bank. And I didn't think that was right, so I just didn't pay it.
Order in the court. We are gathered here today to discuss McCullough versus Maryland. Please, everyone be seated. Maryland, state your case.
We believe that the Second Bank of the United States is unconstitutional and we should be able to tax them however we want. McCullough did not pay his tax and you should make him pay us.
You can't tax me. The bank has more power than you do.
Order in the court. Please, Mr. McCullough, sit down. Okay, Maryland, continue your case.
As I said before, the Second Bank of the United States is unconstitutional and the state should have the power to tax it. Any business within the state's borders is taxable.
Okay, thank you, Maryland. McCullough, you may now speak your case.
Maryland is not allowed to tax me or the bank because the bank was created by the national government and therefore has more authority over the state. Also, the bank is constitutional because the Congress has the ability to pass any law that is necessary and proper.
Thank you, Mr. McCullough. Maryland, please have your lawyer explain your case.
The Constitution doesn't say that Congress is allowed to create a national bank, and therefore the bank is unconstitutional. Additionally, the Constitution doesn't say that lawmakers can issue corporate charters for the bank.
That is true. McCullough, have your lawyer explain your case now.
In Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, the Constitution says that Congress has the power to pass any law that is either necessary or proper. The bank is both of these. The state government does not have as much power as the federal government.
Objection, Your Honor. As we have stated before, the Constitution does not give enumerated power to the federal government to create a bank.
That's blasphemy! The state...
Order, McCullough, order. Now, Maryland, continue.
As I was stating, Amendment number 10 states that powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by the states are reserved to the states respectively or the people. Now, as we know, nowhere in the Constitution does it give federal government the power to create a bank. Thus, the power falls to the state, allowing us to tax the bank under the Constitution. The bank is considered unconstitutional.
Thank you. This is also very true. I shall have my answer soon. Order! I have made my decision. While what Maryland stated about corporate characters and the 10th Amendment is true, the bank is for the good of the people. My final decision is that Maryland is not allowed to tax the bank or McCulloch because the federal government has more power over the state government. The power to tax involves the power to destroy, and the state is not allowed to destroy part of the federal government.
Decision. After debate, John Marshall made his decision that Maryland had no right to tax the Second National Bank. He also determined that the bank was constitutional because it was for the good of the people and it was considered necessary and proper under the Constitution, thus making fully constitutional. Significance. McCall versus Maryland was important not only because it was determined that the bank was constitutional, but also because it proved that the federal government reigned supreme over the state government, and the state government had no power to tax any federal entities. This case was later represented in the nullification crisis when South Carolina decided it could use the 10th Amendment to disregard the tariff of abominations. The case showed that South Carolina did not have the power to nullify the law as it was a federal law, and that states don't have the power over the federal government.